Producer Joe here from the Working Fans Podcast. And at the Working Fans Podcast, this is just a podcast that three lifelong fans created to have a place to talk comedy and pro wrestling. Now, our comedy podcast releases every Tuesday, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We release bonus episodes under the moniker Working Fans Presents every now and then. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, any major podcast provider. The important thing is just please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. Now, we have started a new thing. We are now on Amazon and Audible. So those episodes release every Monday. And that's kind of going through the archives and just releasing our old episodes into new areas. So if you want to live through the process with us again, take that journey with us again, you can find us over on Amazon and Audible. Now, if you can't get enough of us in the audio form, check out our YouTube. It's youtube.com/C/Working Fans Wrestling Pod, or just search Working Fans Podcast on YouTube. We have the whole archive is up there. And if you listen to the Working Fans Podcast, you are more than familiar with the 531. That is our signature segment where we take your top 5 list on a particular subject, vote it down to a top 3, and then debate it down to a top 1. Now, guys, if you want to hear 3 guys talk shit about comedy, wrestling, life, anything, you will enjoy the Working Fans Podcast.
All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Podcast with the man they call Dave. And today I got independent wrestler Brandino Davis, the Jack Daddy of all trades. Pleasure to join us. Thank you, Brandon, having you here.
Yo, thank you very much, man. Thank you. I appreciate everything what you I've seen so far. So
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Now, I just like to ask, like, kind of at the beginning, I'm assuming you were a wrestling fan. If not, I'm really curious how you got into this, but what was your fandom like, assuming you were a fan?
My first match ever was the Mass Transit.
Oh.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. You were there.
I was there. 6 years old. I was there.
Wow. So just funny story. I was at a dinner last night. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but we were talking about things we should have seen. And I was like a young kid. And I walked into the movie Clockwork Orange. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but
I remember,
super violent movie.
People
I'm like,
was like, oh, this is great. And you're like, oh, this is very graphic for a 70s movie.
I'm like 6 years old walking into this, but you're 6 years old and you're at the mass transit incident. I feel like that just takes the cake, man.
Yeah.
So
I was 8 or 9, because I'm 34 and I suck at math.
Now, what were some of your favorite wrestlers then growing up?
D'Lo Brown, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Hardy Boys, Too Cool, The Nation. I started really getting into black wrestling when I started working, which is like Ernie Ladd, Too Cold Scorpio, Tony Atlas,
Rocky
and
Johnson?
many others. Of course, Rocky Johnson.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm 44, and I had some early, like, I grew up in that Hogan era, but like I remember some wrestlers before that I saw, and it's like 2 guys that stuck out were Jimmy Snuka, because he could fly off the top rope, and then Rocky Johnson, because he had that backflip he would do sometimes, and he'd do like the Ali shuffle a little bit and everything. And I was like, whoa, who is this guy? A
little bit of swag in the 70s.
Oh yeah,
70s and 80s.
So now obviously you're a huge fan, and then so how did you break into the business and get trained?
As everyone know, you do backyard wrestling and think that you're a wrestler first. So let's just face that on the facts, just out the window. I actually found out about wrestling, about this promotion before it was Proving Ground. It was Project Zero Wrestling, and it was in Rhode Island, I think, or probably London or Pawtucket. And what was it? Blackheart told me to go to RWA when Jose Perez was training out there for like a couple of weeks because I was living out in Worcester. So it was on my senior year of college, and when I graduated, I tried to do the combine for Canada. Didn't really make it. Broke my hand in like really bad places. So he told me about this place in Everett called the Belltime Club from Jason Rumble and stuff like that. And before it moved to Wakefield, it was Jason Rumble, DC Dillinger, like all the like old heads like Stiff Mike and all of them were there before I was there. And we moved to Wakefield. Then Bo Douglas started doing the head of the class and stuff like that. So I've been training with him off and on for like over almost 10 years.
Okay. So 10 years at it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Besides your hand, has there been any other, any big injuries or any other injuries?
Yeah, actually, I got stage 5 kidney failure. Oof. And I got 5% left. But I have a lot of fans and a lot of people that love and support me, and I got over like 80 matches. But we just have to wait for the process to go through. So I will probably be out for like a year, which is going to kill me. But I can get back into things, work out, go on a diet, get better on my diet and stuff like that, and push myself to go to the next level.
Well, hey, I mean, at least you got 80%, right? That's huge.
No, not 80. I got 80 matches.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's huge still. I mean, great.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just playing the waiting game right now, man.
Yeah. Does COVID slow that down a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was very hard to tell people because I'm very secretive to my personal life. And the doctor told me it was a good idea to do it anyway. So I was like, hey, give it a shot. My mom posted something and I posted something, and it was shared over 1,200 views. So in shares, so that's pretty. I'm blessed for that.
Yeah, so it kind of shows the good side of social media a little bit. Yeah. Right.
Unlike the cancel chapter.
Cancel or just the toxic culture of just being in the comments sometimes. Yeah.
I just sometimes I'd be like, no.
Like the wrestling, I always joke around people with the WWE, AEW, and I love the fact there's more wrestling now. But man, sometimes you hang out on Twitter and you look in those comments and it's like, all right, I got to get out of here. I can't hang out.
You're triggering me. You are triggering me, sir.
Now, from a standpoint as a performer, as a competitor, when you get in the ring, to get in the zone, sometimes I like to ask this. I'm just curious. Do you have a routine? Is there anything you do before, maybe before a match or anything?
Yeah. So it's just gonna sound weird. I'm really into music, so I do a thing called the calm of the storm. First, I listen to lo-fi hip hop beats before an hour we had, into rap, into death metal before the end beginning of my match, so I could just get really pumped up. That's what I used to do in football. So it was one of those things don't want to overly psych yourself up, but just pace yourself. Then when
almost feels
go ahead.
It almost feels like you're almost telling a story. You're starting off slow too. You're letting yourself off.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
That's awesome. Now I also, if I'm right, you can tell me this. I believe you're a graphics art designer too.
I'm a video game designer and computer animation.
Okay. Now, have you been able to use that in pro wrestling at all too?
No, but I'm thinking about doing that in my time and just figure something out. I have ideas, but gotta see how it rolls.
So this is another passion of yours, then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's video games, wrestling, and football.
Dude, it's good to have many irons in the fire too. So
yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about? I don't know if you do. Have you ever thought about doing podcasting and stuff too? I know there's so many.
I was thinking about doing like a video game channel. For like competition wise, like I'm a huge fighting fan, fighter RPG, but I'll play anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have like at least I think like 9 or 10 systems.
Okay.
And I'm about to build like another one with my tower. I call it Topanga, and because she's beautiful and white. No, she's legit. No, she's legit like a big, like a nice slim like white case. So I'm like,
I love it.
Topanga. I'm like, let me just name her Topanga. But no, I'm gonna get an arcade stick that's gonna have like over like 10,000 games. Put on my like 42-inch screen over here.
That's awesome. Hey, what are some of the other promotions you worked for?
I worked for Limitless, Let's Wrestle, NW, APW, Big Time Wrestling, New York Championship Wrestling, and a couple other promotions.
Okay, so you definitely been around.
Oh, and Bell Time and UFO. Those were my first stepping stones. Were those two? So without them, I wouldn't be grateful. No.
What would you consider as a performer, as an entertainer, the tougher aspects of pro wrestling for yourself?
Criticism.
Okay.
You have to realize you're a grown ass man, and you're gonna get criticized throughout your wrestling career or whenever you want to do it. And swallowing your pride sometimes is the hardest thing to do, especially with me when I play football and I'm overly prideful. If it doesn't show, but I'm really prideful. But I had to learn in the early years of my wrestling career that it's okay to get critiqued, because you can think that you're amazing, but like if the workers don't think that you're amazing, then there's something wrong. And that's okay to do it. It just is a way to say it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everyone had a bad match. Like, let's face it, everyone had a bad match. But it's how you adapt and how you build up on that.
No, 1,000%. That makes sense. I think that's a great life lesson too. Just sometimes being able to take criticism and develop tough skin is like such a huge thing to like move forward. I think almost in any profession, like just know that like, hey, I might be wrong. Right? You know?
Like that's why I wasn't really like into like politics. Cause I'm like, listen, this is like two sides of bat. Like this, I'm the middle guy. I'm just gonna be in the middle and just watch what happens. Like,
I understand that. Yeah.
I mean, you got people that still have like say, yeah, Trump still won. I'm like, dude, just take the L. I'm like, that's like, just do me a solid. We get it. You're very passionate, but like, god damn it, dude, just take the L.
Hey, man, I'll tell you one thing. One thing about like this whole politics in the last, especially we'll go 8 years, it really shined a light to me on how politics in particular, but other things are so much like pro wrestling sometimes.
Oh my god, it's like,
yeah.
How can I describe it? It is like watching Bobby the Brain Heenan. Okay, Bobby the Brain Heenan against Teddy Long.
Yes. Right. I know. And I was trying to tell somebody, I'm like, whether you believe it or not, I'm like, and I'm not trying to get too political here, but I'm like, this guy's speaking in sound bites. I was like, he's cutting promos, and he's going to his target audience. Like, if this was the old territory days, he's finding his area where
Donald Trump was notorious, like, they say, pause, that I do not support the African-American community.
Right.
But I tell them to stand down. And I'm like, oh, I'm now intrigued.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I definitely, that's one thing I guess it shined a light on, was like, oh my God, how much fucking life is like pro wrestling. And I think somebody was on Rogan one time too, and they were talking about kayfabe. And I'm like, really? Is this happening? Like kayfabe? Holy shit. But
I remember that when I was little.
I love. I think there's a shirt that is out there somewhere. I know I've seen it online too, where life is fake, pro wrestling is real. And after like watching the stuff in the last last 8-10 years in particular, I'm like, God, that hits home now. Like it's such
I get it.
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
God damn it.
Now, do you prefer when you're wrestling like tag matches or single matches? Any preference?
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I am in one of the tags for Let's Wrestle called the Stickman with Eric Johnson, which we are the first ever tag champions and defending it. But I don't know how that's going to happen when I'm out for a year. But singles, I like to learn, so it doesn't really matter. Like I'll do scrambles, but I'm not a fan of them. But you just have to deal with a lot of stuff in the ring. Even when your booking's not there, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm booking this dude. I know what he does." Last minute, he's not there. You have to work someone else. Like, fuck.
So, yeah, I imagine, especially on the indies. Yeah, right. That must happen a lot.
Yeah,
that makes me wonder. I want to ask this because I don't think it happens as much now. But you've been around for 10 years. Have you had somebody ever try to take liberties with you in the ring? You don't have to name names, but yeah,
a few times. One was he said, she said. The other time, I defended myself, but like like I said, I'm a grown man. If you want to be cocky, that's fine. If you want to like try to belittle me, that's fine. Just don't get mad if I swing back. But I'm not gonna do it in the ring. But like we'll talk like men because we have to like have a conversation. He's like, oh, if I over hit you, like if I was stiff to you, bro, I apologize. That's on me. If I did that receipt, that's on me. It feels like an understandable, like, my bad. I get it. But if there was someone like trying to target me, I defended myself.
Sure, that makes sense. I actually was talking to a young lady, Amber Nova, on here one time, and she had mentioned to me that she actually takes like martial arts training, and part of it is because sometimes when you're in the ring, she said, especially if you're in there with people who are green too, sometimes you have to get control of the situation, and she said it can get rough.
No, like I used to grapple too, so I like this. Sometimes I have to put a hold on my guy.
Yeah. I saw. I think it was an old footage too. I think it was like Mike Rotundo, and you might have seen it made the rounds. Like I think it was a wrestler named Death Row who looked very green. I mean, and suddenly you see Rotundo just kind of takes the guy down, and it's not really making sense. And then in the middle of it, he just shoots like a half Nelson and turns him over and pins him because the guy was a big guy, but Mike obviously had this like really big amateur background, and you could just see in the middle of it. It was like an old WCW Worldwide. He's like, no, we gotta take this home.
All right. We left 5 minutes ago, and we're taking it home. All right, cool.
Now,
Chicago.
Now, have you had to do anything? I never really asked this. I'm always kind of curious. So, like on the independent circuit, do you have to do anything usually as yourself to promote yourself out there? And,
you're networking. You are networking. It's word of mouth. You just have to be like you have to be a business person. You legit have to be a business person. Your name is your business. It took me a while to figure that out, but like your name is your business. So if you want to like to go out there, you have to like put your name out there. You have to do what has to like be done, sell merch, like put like internet like work-ins, which I'm working on right now. But life hits me with a ton of bricks, so that's on hold right now. But once I'm better, I'm gonna do a lot more media and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, understandable, man. Now, just out of curiosity, so far, what would you say have been some career highlights for you?
Working in front of 2,900 people in Altoona, Pennsylvania, with the Nasty Boys, and winning the championship from the trainees. I've been not the training, but train area I worked at was the VCW, and the Let's Wrestle Tag Champions. So
that's pretty cool to wrestle people you grew up watching on TV, I imagine. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I ask usually people, are there any goals they got. I know. I'm guessing the goal is just to right now get better and get well. But anything else you want to add? Go right ahead, man.
My goal is just to get signed in 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Because I've been like, I was really like shocked when I found out about the kidney situation. I'm like, oh, I'm too old. But I came to realize there's people who are like 37 who's just getting signed and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be optimistic and push myself after I get the healing process done. So my goal
1,000%.
is New Japan or like WWE.
1,000%, man. And you know, a lot of times too, I see it sometimes in like mixed martial arts too. People will end up getting injured, and you'll see them like on an analyst desk, and they come back as better fighters and stuff. So I mean, obviously, you could use this time, I'm sure, and you know, whether it's just studying or whatever, you can learn, I'm sure, and come back even stronger and have other aspects. What about Steve Austin? Right, the guy broke his neck, and then he was like, that was like the best like career reserves he had because he just came out there stunning people every week. So
yeah,
that was
that's what I'm trying to do, man. It just takes one step at a time.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, man, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, maybe in a year time we'll get an interview back and see
how
everything's going. And
man, anytime.
It's very cool to hear. I like your attitude, and I'm sure you're going to do well, and I'm very curious to follow you. Now, I just before I let you go though, is there any social media or anything you want to promote?
Yes, Brandino Davis at Facebook.com, the Jack Daddy 73 on Instagram, and also on Twitter. Pretty soon I will be making my Twitch account for video games and stuff like that. It'll probably be called the Jack Daddy Network, and see how that goes with my time off.
Sounds good. Man's making the best of everything. Brandino, thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Jack Daddy.